back to Com 101. Today we're going to go over the syllabus. In fact, tonight it's been like 3 minutes since I made that last video, so haha. But it could be day or night to you since this is a virtual class. Yay! So, that means it's all online for those of you who don't know this. I always like to give a slight disclaimer. If you are not computer literate to the point where you can move around and do things easily, this might not be the one for you. You might actually want to go do a face-to-face class. It would be so much more enjoyable for you. However, if you are computer literate to the point where you can do certain things, this shouldn't pose an enormous problem. Those of you who are on tablets, this is going to be a little difficult, and you may find it easier to work on a desktop if you do have access to it, just because the tablet's internet browsers, they don't allow you to pull up lots of different tabs and switch back and forth. And if you do not have a Bluetooth keyboard for your tablet, you are going to hate this class because there is a fair amount of writing, more than a fair amount. As you can see right here, writing load is high. So let's head on down. As once again, my name is Professor Halsey, and this is Communication 101, Effective Speaking for Spring 2015. If you ever run into trouble with the D2L or any of your stuff, call the help desk. Good advice. That leads to another disclaimer. I am not tech support. Unfortunately, if your computer has a blue screen or it's crashing, I can't tell you what's wrong with it. That takes a couple of hours of diagnostics at best. And yeah, I'm not the Geek Squad, so sorry. That's a computer problem. If you have any problems with D2L, here it is right here. So my name is Nathan Halsey. Here you'll find on the syllabus my email. I usually have about a 24-hour response time on weekdays, but it might be 48, depending on what you ask me. If it takes a long time to type or I have to go find something, it might be a little longer. Don't assume that I haven't seen your email. I check every day. My Skype ID is Nathan Halsey. Should be pretty easy. So just go ahead and friend me. But when you friend me, send me a message that says that you're in the class, because I've gotten a couple of requests, but I have no idea who these people are. They might be in my class, they might not be. I don't really know. So if you sent me one and I haven't done anything with it, it's because I have no idea who you are. And you're going to have to say, hey, I'm in your class, add me. I don't have a problem with adding people. That's what Skype is for. My office hours are Tuesday and Thursday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. You don't need an appointment. And my Skype contact hours are Monday through Saturday at 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. But you do need an appointment for that because, like, I might be working or doing something. You just don't want to, like, blow up my computer with Skype calls and things like that. So let me know if you're going to need to talk with Skype, and we'll actually set a time Monday through Saturday between 10:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. My Google Hangouts, I don't use Google Hangouts that much. But you can do this, and that's by appointment only if you don't like Skype for some reason. So this is all in your syllabus, obviously, which is all on the thing. So I'm only going to go through the highlights here, but you should listen because, in all honesty, this explains the class. So required text is the DK Guide to Public Speaking. You need to get it at the bookstore because it comes with a code that allows you to get into the Pearson MyLabs, which is the thing that I talked about in the intro video. I showed it to you guys. That book will come to it with a code. You click on it, you insert the code, and then you will be logged in to the course. You also need a webcam, a keyboard, and a microphone. Those are some basic things. You'll need a high-speed web connection. You'll need code access to ComLab. Once again, comes with the textbook purchase. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you got a textbook offline that was, or online, that is an offline textbook, it's not going to come with the online textbook. So just remember that. Secondly, white index cards. This may sound goofy, but what we do here is extemporaneous speaking, excuse me. And basically what that entails is speaking with a note card. So please have your note cards. They will be required for every speech. All speeches are full body, meaning you can't record like what I'm doing. You have to stand up. You'll need a clear space in the room. I'm going to send out an email actually in a little while that details all of this, but just so you know, speeches are always standing. They're always facing the camera. You need to speak loudly. A lot of microphones don't work very well. I'd highly recommend a Bluetooth microphone. They're like $15 off of Amazon, and it will make it easier because if you upload something that has bad recording quality, I'm not going to be able to grade it. So just keep that in mind. The recording quality has to be good. You also need the ability to use Skype and Google Drive. If you don't know what Google Drive is, Google it. It comes with a Google account, and basically it is a storage and document editing thing that allows for collaborative learning. And finally is the willingness and ability to schedule and engage in group work. Now, that might frighten a lot of people because you're most likely choosing this class because you're a busy person and you can only get on at night, et cetera, et cetera. This doesn't require the kind of group work where you actually have to like get together at a certain time. In fact, it's all asynchronous group work, which means that you can log in and work on it around the deadline. However, basically, you're all kind of put into groups, and we'll talk about this. They're called speaking teams, and basically, you'll be providing feedback to the people in your speaking team. This does two things. First of all, it gives you a group of people that you can sort of get to know a little bit. You'll be required to work on a couple of assignments. You may or may not need to Skype or Google Drive, Skype each other or work together on Google Drive. So basically, this is an important thing. And once again, I'm not tech support. Google Drive has a ton of very nifty tutorial videos if you're not sure how to use it. But basically, it allows you to jump in and edit simultaneously or just over time edit documents. And we'll talk about that in a little while longer. So basically, just remember, you will be in groups here, but you're not going to be in the kind of groups where you're absolutely going to have to meet at the same time in the same place. That's one of the things of a virtual class is that it's very flexible in the group work aspect of it because everything, once again, I said asynchronous, meaning that it does not happen at the same time. The prerequisites for this is eligibility for enrollment in English 101 and completion of any of the reading courses required by the college testing and placement program. The course description, this introduces the fundamentals of oral communication with an emphasis on helping you increase your competence as a communicator. So, especially in the speaking context. And once again, group work disclaimer, this course does require you to work in groups. Not necessarily meeting at the same time or at the same place or anything like that, but you will have to coordinate with other people in order to do this course. We'll get to why. I've already said one reason why, but the other reason is that oftentimes people lose interest in virtual courses and they get behind because they're all alone when they're doing the course. This will give you basically some people to get to know and to talk to, so you won't feel quite as, I guess, isolated doing this course. The second reason is because you provide feedback for people's speeches, and doing it in groups means that you don't have to provide like feedback for the entire class's speeches. You only provide feedback for your individual group members' speeches. So I'm saying all this ahead of time, but honestly, I'll get to it again. You know, I've learned that repeating things over and over and over again is something that a teacher has to do. So there you go. Take it as you will. Learning outcomes, you can read these on the syllabus. They're super long. I'm not going to read these. This is not a book on tape. Students in need of accommodations, we do our best to accommodate. Once again, you can read this if you want. Attendance policy, this is super important. If you don't sign on and participate in class each week, you have to do that. So basically, if you don't participate for 2 weeks, you're going to get dropped. And if you don't sign on and participate by Thursday, January 22nd, I was supposed to change that date. It's actually February the 8th, and I'll go back and do this, but you'll also get dropped. Basically, if you don't sign in for the first week and a half of class, you're going to get dropped. According to the Federal Department of Education, we have to demonstrate that you have participated. So participation in this class means submitting an assignment, taking an exam, participating in an interactive tutorial or computer-assisted instruction, participating in an online discussion, initiating contact with me, i.e. your professor. All of these things count as being involved. If you are not involved, you will be dropped. As far as excused absences go, it's in your student handbook, so check that. A doctor's note's necessary, and or a death in the family, etc., etc. I don't require a note for a death in the family, but if your uncle dies like 10 times during this course, I'm going to know something's up. There are other extenuating circumstances, like you get spinal meningitis or something like that, heaven forbid. But all of those things, you need to come and talk to me. If it becomes challenging to do this, this is one reason why I put you in group. Let your group members know, because in all honesty, they're going to wonder where you are, what you're doing. They may be able to help you. You'd be amazed at how nice people can be. And then let me know, please. Don't just suffer in silence or whatnot. Set up a Skype thing or shoot me an email. I'm a nice guy, I swear. And because I'm like behind a webcam, I can't actually like do anything to you. But you get what I'm saying. Just talk, and we'll see if we can work something out. Technical difficulties are not an accepted excuse for not turning in to work. In the tech support, basically, it's reachable at not a number because I actually moved it up there. So, anywho, this is a long syllabus. Give me a break. Makeup work, I don't do that. The only reason that you'll get makeup work is if you basically is if you have a doctor's note or somebody died. And like I said, if your uncle dies like 10 times, I don't know, something's up. Disappearing students, and you'll be able to read all of this, of course. Disappearing students are students who stop attending online. You're going to get withdrawn from the course unless you contact me. Online etiquette, I shouldn't have to say this, but constructive criticism only. You really need to behave with the utmost respect towards your compatriots. So no mean talk. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Unless it's like constructive criticism. So if they're moving around a lot, you can note that in the speech, because that is, you can note that in your commentary on the speech, because that's something that they need to improve on. So, as I said, this is a group-based class. So, after completing your introductory post in the first module, which you're going to get access to this tomorrow, and you'll be able to see what that is, but basically I need you to, one, prove to me that you can get into MediaShare and upload your things. And so the first assignment is actually a self-introduction, where you have about 2 to 3 minutes to introduce yourself, say who you are, what you like. There are some prompts that are on D2L. Please follow those. And then, I expect you guys to browse each other, I suppose, because I'm going to be nice, and instead of like cramming you all into just random groups with each other, I'm going to let you choose your groups. And that's a big deal. So it's a big responsibility. So there's a forum discussion for that, where you get to choose your groups. You'll see it on D2L. Just go in, log in. If you're starting a group and you need more members, you can advertise for it, whatever. But I do expect you guys to be in groups of 3 to 5 people by the first 2 weeks. I'm giving you a while for this, but if you're not in a group and you can't find anybody and everyone's being a meanie, then you can, email me and I will get you into a group. So I've already said this before, but the first reason is that people get behind because they lose motivation. Hopefully you'll be able to make a friend. It's not really very motivating to just sort of log into a course for the abstract goal of your education. So basically, support your team members, provide them with feedback, get to know them. There's a couple of projects that you get to do with them. 20% of the total point value of this course depends on your participation with your team. So, and how do I grade that? I'll talk about it. But basically, your team actually grades you, and we'll see this when we come down to the grading thing. Second, also in the real world, which you are actually supposed to be training for with your education, almost all speaking projects and presentations and things like that, they're actually a team effort. So it's best to learn how to do it. Also, guess what? In the business world, they use a lot of teleconferencing and they use a lot of like Google Docs, things like that. So it's best to just go ahead and learn how to do this. It really isn't that bad, I assure you. So the major assignments here, of course, speeches, big surprise. 275 points total. You actually have 4 total speeches, although technically you only have 3. So the first speech is an introduction speech. It's 50 points total. And you're not going to be introducing yourself. You already did that. Actually, you guys are in teams for this kind of reason. You'll need to pick a member of your speaking team. By this time, you'll already be in a team. You need to just ask somebody on your team, hey, can I interview you and then introduce you to the class? So pick them. Don't leave anyone out. Make sure that nobody on your team is left out. If you have an odd number, there's a way to do this. I'm sure you guys can figure it out, but one person interviews one person interviews one person, and one person interviews one person. And that's how it works. I do highly say that, you probably should not shoot for an odd person team. I'm hoping that we don't have that. But like I said, it happens. Also, there's attrition that inevitably happens. So some teams might get combined towards the middle of this semester. We'll see. This always works out pretty well, so don't be afraid. Speech requires an interview script, and it'll be posted to the corresponding Dropbox. In addition, the other required items for a speech are there, and the required items for a speech, every speech, once again, you'll learn this, and I repeat it like every time I do an introductory video, sort of re-explaining these kinds of things, is an outline. You have to provide feedback on media share, and then finally a self-reflection is usually due after the speech, and you'll see these drop boxes in D2L. So speech 2 is a informative speech. It gets a lot longer. So the first one is 3 to 5. This one goes from 7 to 10. It's very long. It's 100 points total, so double. And it's used to inform your audience. Once again, I'll go over all of this. But one thing to note about the informative is that a visual aid is required. Typically, what I do is, for the visual aid, you can either have something physical that you can do, like sometimes people dress in a costume or whatever. Those are all visual aids. But also, you can use Panopto, which is something that I'll go over as we get here, but it's something that you have access to that basically is a screen capture and a webcam. So it allows you to use your webcam and also screen capture, and you'll have a PowerPoint. So that's what we'll do. If it sounds technologically complex, I warn you, this class is a computer class. It's done via the computer. So you'll just have to figure it out. Let's hope you do. It really isn't that hard to use. So don't get scared. Speech 3.5 is technically your 4th speech, but it is actually, I'm being nice, and it's attached in the research practices module, and it is a test run for the persuasive speech, which is your longest speech. So basically, it should be around half complete, and your teammates will post feedback on it, and then I'll actually assign it a real grade, like I would actually grade a speech. However, once this grade, once you submit the complete speech, I will do away with the grade. So, and just give you the 25 points for it. Speech 3 is the full persuasive speech. So this is not the test run. And once again, I'll talk about these speeches in depth, but let's just say it's a very long persuasive speech as opposed to the informative where you're trying to just inform people of something. Persuasive speech, you have an opinion on the topic. So there are lots of secondary assignments here. They come up to about 120 points total. The first one are the critiques. So at certain points, I'll have you view or listen to speeches, and you'll need to provide a critique of the speech. You can do a 5 to 7 minute video response, post it on media share, whatever you want. It is a video response, so they're pretty easy. I will drop these in occasionally onto the MyLab, and I'll let everybody know when I feel like they need to be done. The other possibility is that this might get dropped completely just because if it looks like people are having trouble doing all of this stuff and getting their things together with a computer, I'm not going to torture you incessantly with having you make videos and constantly try to upload them. So I'll think about this, but that is something that does happen. The other thing that you need to do is a practice outline. Once again, that's in your D2L. We'll run across it in the outlining section. There is in the Pearson MyLab, and once again, there'll be video on this that goes in depth, but there's an outline building tool. You basically use it to build an outline so that you'll have a little help doing the outline via Pearson so you can get a feel for what they are, subordinated outline, which once again, we'll talk about that in the outlining section. Source exploration. This is really the one group project that you guys do, and it is it's basically an information literacy exercise. Sources are really, really important in persuasive speeches. So as a group, you guys will need to locate 10 sources. They can be from a variety of places, but you need to show me that everyone on your team can identify a primary source, scholarly source, a secondary source, and also be able to detect biased sources, which is very important. So this basically means that each team member will need to find around 2 sources, and the team will need to discuss and critique them together. Once again, like I said, if you just find your source, you explain where you got it, and you post it onto Google Docs, you don't have to meet all in the same time in the same place. One of your other team members will sign on, they'll look at it, they'll add their 2 cents or whatever, and then slowly it just turns into this annotated bibliography where each source basically is cited. It's in MLA or APA. If you don't know what those are, we'll learn. I'm not going to teach you citations, but I will show you an easy way around it that'll save your butt in English and any other class that you're writing in. And there's a video on that that's coming up. Good critiques get better grades. It's about 100 word per source. The next thing that you have to do are your Pearson MyLabs. And so there are quite a few of these per module, 3 to 5. They come along with the Pearson study materials or the online textbook. I would highly recommend that you do the things in the online textbook and then do the study guide because it's a pre-test and a post-test. If you ace the pre-test, you're done. You don't have to take the post-test. But if you don't ace the pre-test, you have to take a post-test and you have to get at least 70% on it to pass that. So this is basically, it's going to get graded in Pearson and you'll see your grade out of 100. But if you complete all of these, basically you'll get the full 45 points total. So whatever your percentage is on Pearson, I actually convert that percentage into 45 points for the final grade. Math. So we also have discussion posts randomly sort of situated. We have usually about 1 per module. Some of them have 2. But you need to post at least 1 comment, so you need to say something, and then you have to post at least 2 responses to your classmates' comments, 150 to 250 words. I have them set up so that if you only post 1 comment to your classmates' function, it'll still show that you completed it, but I read them, so if I don't see a second one on there, you're not going to get full credit for it. And then finally, the self-introduction. I discussed that earlier. That's the first assignment where you need to introduce yourself, follow the prompts in D2L, and then upload it to MediaShare. And you'll use these to sort of figure out who you want to be teams with. Like I said, I'm not going to randomly assign you guys, although if it looks like it's total chaos, then I will do it. Yeah, it's going to happen if you guys can't self-organize. There will be teams, so basically do a good job, be interested in your classmates. In all honesty, everybody would be interested in each other and checking each other out and stuff if this was an actual classroom. It's not. So 1, you get to put your best foot forward, or I guess your best face forward by doing this self-introduction. And 2, I'm going to allow you guys to pick out people who you think that you would want to work with or who you get along with. Who knows? One of your friends might be taking this course and you didn't even know. So finally, team grades. These are generated by your team members and they're 80 points total, which is about 20% of your total grade. So basically I took these 2 grades and then calculated the 20%. At 2 points in the semester, I'll be giving team checkups. I'll post these onto D2L. And each one of these checkups, you'll I'll give you a rubric and you'll have to grade your teammates based on it. Each rubric counts for about 40 points, so that's 80 points total. So your performance in teams really adds up. Um, and basically, doing your teamwork and working with your team and providing good feedback, you're going to be basically graded on all of this by your teammates. So be wise, work together, because this grade is basically literally like 80 free points that are just floating here just for being a nice person and staying involved in the course. It really is pretty simple. So total grade breakdown, we have 275 for the speeches, 125, and then 80 for the team, a total of 480 points. Your grade is a percentage of these total points. So I'll grade you. You'll have, I don't know, 390 or something like that out of 480. Let's hope not. But if you do, the letter grades come out to 100% to 90%. I mean, you've seen this before, so everybody knows what it is. Next thing, bonus opportunities. Yes, you do have bonus opportunities in this. Unfortunately, there are 2 speeches. So up to 50 points. Each bonus speech is a 3 to 5 minute speech, and it's 25 possible points. I'll talk a little more about it later, but it's a demonstration speech and an after dinner speech. If you're really interested, then you can go read the syllabus for yourself, which honestly you're required to do. So read the syllabus, okay? Other than that, if you have any questions for me, and I'm sure you're going to have a ton of them, there's actually a discussion board like right down on the bottom there, and you can just ask away. If you also know the answer to one of the questions that your classmates is asking, be a nice person, be nice to me, be nice to them, and answer it for me, because like I have 3 of these classes that's close to 80 to 100 students. I'm going to be swamped this semester, so like I'll try to answer everybody's question, but if you know, help me out a little here and engage in the discussion. So anyway, this is the overview of the syllabus. Once again, if you have any questions, what I might do is just read them over and then post a video response that you guys can listen to or whatnot. That'll answer all of just a bulk question. In fact, I actually think I might do that so I don't have to type out a trillion different responses to the same questions. But please, please, please read the syllabus closely. Don't just listen to this video and then ask me a question that's on the syllabus, because a lot of them are on the syllabus. And actually, I'm probably going to be mean to you if you do and say, read the syllabus. I'm not going to answer that question. If it's not on the syllabus and it's a genuine question, yeah, you'll get an answer from me, so don't worry about it. Other than that, this pretty much completes the syllabus overview. Once again, it's best to read the syllabus, read the syllabus, read the syllabus. Yes, good. Repeating myself. That's what teachers have to do. Read the syllabus. And then you'll know. So that's about it. I hope everybody has a great day and or night and or evening and or morning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. See you later.